Tua's
Oh
first
my
2
God.
seasons.
This tweet is unbelievable. For anyone who was criticizing Tua at the beginning of his career, and by the way, he was never awful. You know what I
No,
mean? Like, you've seen young quarterbacks who come in and they're awful. And
he
you
was not
go,
awful.
he was never awful. Brian Flores had a short leash on him, but he was never awful. That's a great tweet. Somebody tweeted out, Tua's weapons, when you said he sucked 3 seasons ago, and I'm talking to you, listener, not a pal. When you said he sucked, listener, Devontae Parker, out of the NFL. Albert Wilson, out of the NFL. Preston Williams, out of the NFL. We thought he was the next Randy Moss. Like, this is what they were dealing with. Preston Williams, out of the NFL. Jakeem Grant, out of the NFL. He's actually in my pocket. You want me to pull him out? Jakeem Grant, out of the NFL. Malcolm Perry, out of the NFL.
Who I once said could do
I
anything
remember.
Taysom Hill could do. Still believe that, by the way.
Kirk Merritt, out of the NFL. Isaiah Ford, out of the NFL. That guy was back and forth on the roster 126 times in 13 weeks. Isaiah Ford, out of the NFL. Antonio Callaway, out of the NFL. Lynn Bowden Jr., you loved him, out of the NFL.
Good player.
And then finally, Mac Hollins, who I believe is Bill's wide receiver number 1. And I'm going to like Mac Hollins. But that, I mean, honestly, no joke. When you go through that list of who he had, and you can make the argument all you want. A quarterback can make receivers better. Receivers make a quarterback better. Like, it's somewhat symbiotic.
Right.
That list of receivers, I mean, I'm not gonna, characterize them as garbage. But those aren't Pro Bowl receivers.
No, those are receivers on a team that struggles to win 7-8 games every year. And those are the receivers that are in an offense that features only short and intermediate passes and nothing that pushes the field, because the guys that are running those routes can't push the field. And you've got offensive coordinators who either A, have been out of the league for years and had to come out of retirement, or B, have never called plays in the NFL in the first place. And we've rehashed this argument about Tua's first 2 seasons so many times. But if you can't take a step back and objectively look at the situation back then and appreciate the numbers that Tua put up despite what was around him, then I don't know what to tell you. Because
like, I at that point, I'm like, what could he have done more? And everyone, I guess we'll go back to the same thing. You got to win a game that makes a difference at the end of the season.
Totally fair.
He hasn't, and it's a fair criticism.
Totally fair.
But in totality, from the moment they drafted him, with who has been around him, been a really good quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to nonsense statement. You don't want to risk some other guy because you don't think Tua can ever win the big game. That to me is ridiculous. Did in college. Like, I just, notion that he's reached his ceiling because you've seen him stumble at the end of the season last season, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's nonsense to me.
His first big moment as a college quarterback was coming off the bench in the national championship.
The biggest spotlight that you can have in college football. And by the way, a national championship game featuring Alabama, as much as I don't like Nick Saban, he's not there anymore, but as much as I don't like Nick Saban, that is NFL caliber pressure.
Georgia. Yeah.
I mean, that's like, so if you think that he can't win a big game, like, that's folly too.